Hey Jeff, how's it going, man? Looks like you're in the Freak Speak studios right now.
I am. Today is studio day, so you caught me in between filming sessions.
Oh, that's cool. Well, if you got a couple minutes, I wanted to talk about some carbs and carbolin and all that good stuff. And the reason why I bring it up is because I've seen a few posts on our Facebook page and a couple other spots where people are talking about carbs, good and bad. And so
Right.
let's just shut the door on that thing because it's still a big controversy for whatever reason. And you know how these things come and go through
Yep.
the industry and through the life cycle of fad diets and whatever else. What's your take on carbs? And I'm talking about more specifically for an athlete.
Yeah, and I mean, I have stood firm on my belief in carbs, not, based on my opinion or my emotion, but on science, which is why I wrote Carb Phobia, Stop the Madness. You know, uh, People get off on all kind of wacky things that we've seen over the ages. But at the end of the day, when we're talking about an athlete, we're talking about an athlete. That could be anywhere from, someone who goes out and runs once or twice a week to, a professional football player or pickleball player, or you pick the sport. So I'll say this and I'll say it loud. Athletes need carbohydrates. The same way I would say a car needs gas. Without it, you got no fuel. I mean, I'm sorry. You can say, oh, I do keto and I use fats, but at the end of the day, those fats are converted to sugar. Your body has to have sugar. It has to have glucose to function. Your brain, your heart, your muscles. So with that said, athletes who deprive themselves of carbohydrates are going to get outperformed by those who utilize carbohydrates.
Yeah, I think that was the key topic, as we said, for athletes, and athletes are after top performance, not just getting by. If you want to get by,
Right.
yeah, you can do any kind of diet there is, but you're not going to get that peak level of performance like the Super Bowls coming up. I mean, those guys have got to be on their A game plus, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, when I was in high school, which was a long time ago, we didn't have, supplements to this nature. We didn't have information. We didn't have the internet. So again, I had no problem with going to Mickey D's and, getting a Big Mac, a couple Big Macs. Did it fuel myself? Yeah, I remember going one time out of high school. I was going to train and I had leg day. I was starving. And I told my training partner, I'm like, I'll be right back, man. I can't train. I'm too hungry. And I went downstairs and I ordered 2 quarter pounders. And I'm sitting there eating these 2 quarter pounders while he's putting the weights on the rack. He goes, "You're crazy." I go, "I can't train without eating." So my body was telling me I needed to fuel. I just was naive. So I was hungry. So I went and had a couple quarter pounders and went on to squat 600 pounds, without throwing up.
Well, imagine if we had carbolin back in that day.
Oh no, but again, as an athlete, you got to look at the way the body works. Muscles require glycogen to fire. You know, Without it, again, you're going to be sluggish. Race car off the line. You get behind, you done lost the race. The same thing with no matter what your sport is. You're slow, you lose the game, you lose the race, man. So why not look at science, look at how the body performs, and understand that you need carbohydrates. Now, are all carbohydrates created equal? Absolutely not. And I think that's where people, get this fear of carbohydrates is, eating refined sugars and donuts and all that stuff, drinking all this sugar, dextrose after a workout. No, no, no. Quality carbohydrates. And the reason why I developed Carbolin is for that simple reason. I was having trouble fueling myself before training. And I needed something that would get in quick, fruits, bananas, they were all right, but I would be out of gas in about 15 minutes. So, Carbolin was something that I developed for myself and for other, athletes who are in the same boat. Again, what a better way to turbocharge your workouts, having a complex carbohydrate absorbed in 5 minutes, quick as sugar, but being completely sugar-free.
Yeah, well, and I'm sure that, there's going to be a few naysayers out there that say, "Oh, you only say all this stuff about carbs because you sell Carbolin as a as a product in your product line." I'm thinking, no,
Nah,
we sell Carbolin because we're advocates for carbs.
If you would ask me 15 years ago or 20 years ago when I was a competitive bodybuilder, and again, I had more information about nutrition than when I played college football, back in the 70s and early 80s. I fueled my body with carbs. Even during diet, all the way up to a week out, I trained at 4 a.m. and my pre-workout was sourdough toast with a banana on top. I mean, I would mash that banana. And I mean, all during my dieting. I mean, that's what I did, because I knew that I needed some carbs. I couldn't go train at 4 a.m. on an empty stomach, having no fuel. I mean, gosh, that was thinking about the week before the contest when I would go no carbs. You barely could make it to the gym. I mean, I would forget stuff. I mean, it was just really going through the motions and thinking about people, training with no carbohydrates, or, going into a football game or basketball or something with no carbs. Crazy.
Yeah. Well, and let's be, like you said, about especially being like a competitive bodybuilder, there are definitely times where you're going to manipulate your carbs, because you can obviously, too much of a good thing, eat too many or eat too little. There's always that balance. But the other part of it is, and I think, again, I keep talking about athletes here, is a sustainable eating program. I mean, anybody could go on this no carb thing or whatever, pick one of the macronutrients, but you could do that for a limited time, but you're not going to live the rest of your life realistically, especially if you have a family. Good luck.
No. And, I think when we say an athlete, our bodybuilders and fitness and all that athletes, yeah, absolutely. Is the Miss America pageant, are those athletes? Yeah. I mean, they got to get in shape. They got to work out. Are law enforcement athletes? Yeah. So again, it's a very broad. So, bodybuilding, and I'll just use that as a general category, that's a whole different thing, because you have to get rid of fat. So yeah, you're going to have to learn how to diet and manipulate and train. But like I said, I was able to get in top shape, as good a shape as anybody today. Back then we didn't carry as much mass for a lot of reasons. But
you were exactly tiny back then, though.
No, but at 240, in the early 80s, I mean, that was quite large. I mean, it was when, the Frank Zanes of the world, the Samir Banuts were winning the Olympia. It wasn't until I guess probably Lee Haney came on, where the 230 something pound was starting to become a little more popular. Right. But again, that's a whole different sport. But again, everybody I knew, we fueled ourselves before training. I mean, this day and age, I mean, again, bodybuilding is a little bit different animal, compared to all the different sports. Nobody else competes on how they look. They compete on their performance. Sure.
Well, and I guess if you look at the major macronutrients, almost like our food as a tool, then what we try to do when building Carbolin as a product, it's really a tool to put in your arsenal to get a result that you're after, and to do it in a convenient, tasty, easier way, rather than having to wolf down a plate of spaghetti or whatever. You're going to get the same or better result. And it's
and again, it's science. So, you eat spaghetti, I don't know how long it's going to take for that spaghetti to be in my blood system as glycogen. It depends on, my metabolism today. Mine is different than yours. So you can't say spaghetti you can time it so that you eat it 4 hours before and exactly 4 hours. All these other carbohydrates, that's what you have to do, is you're winging it. You're hoping it's going to be ready. We already know, we have scientifically proved that Carbolin 5 minutes. So literally 5 minutes before, halftime, during, you can replenish glycogen stores. We've taken it to a whole different scientific level. And again, a lot of times people, when they hear me talking about Carbolin, they think I'm against eating. No, you'd be stupid not to eat carbs and just drink Carbolin all the time. Not that you couldn't include Carbolin to increase your calories and such, but to say, you would take any supplement, no, that would be just ridiculous. You got to have food.
Yeah, no, I agree. 100. If there was more than 100%, but we'll say it's 100%. So anyway, I know you're super busy and you've got to get on some other videos and things. I just wanted to pop on here real quick and talk. Okay. Because we're hearing a lot of chatter out there. about is this good or bad. And hopefully this is enlightening to some people that maybe they weren't getting the results they're after. They feel kind of like soft and just they don't have that gusto, and they're drinking a bunch of stems and pre-workouts. It's like that is not going to make up for the actual fuel that you need to actually power you through the kind of workouts that are going to really make a difference for you. So anyway, I appreciate the insight.
All right.
Let's go ahead and pop off of here and let everybody get back.